Yeah, watching the game on Monday.
I mean, how could you not? It's the national
I
championship.
I hate that it's I hate that it's on Mondays. Every year I feel like I go on the same rant, but I hate that it's on Mondays.
It says 6:30, right? At
Yeah,
least they're
6
not doing
Yeah, it
like
says
6:30
a.
Central,
6:30.
so
I mean, I guess I would prefer like a 6 o'clock time. I did see something that's pretty cool. Indiana, a lot of places in Indiana are shutting down or like going, not shutting down, but going on like 2 hour delay the next day. Like even businesses are giving their employees 2 hour delay.
yeah, I know for sure, like, whenever Oklahoma had the playoff game in Norman, they shut down school and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
But yeah,
I mean, that's pretty different for like, like Indiana's never thought that they'd be here. So I think it's
No,
pretty cool.
okay, so the game is in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium where Miami plays. Their normal season games. I think that's stupid. And it matters more. So, like, I was talking to somebody because I think I put a post out there on X, and I was talking about this, and people were kind of like, "Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's just going to happen sometimes." I was like, "No, because you do it in NFL stadiums where college teams don't perform. You don't do Hard Rock because Miami plays there.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't
Like
like it.
I get the argument too. I hear people, they're like, well, you have to schedule it ahead of time because you have to get the venue ready and all that. Totally get it. But the, again, there's other ways to do it.
Well,
You
you
could
can
do it at
schedule a different venue.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and
that's
I think you should have 2 or 3 lined up, and then closer to time, then like, well, Miami's not even in it, so we'll just
well,
keep it
I
in
I
Miami.
don't I don't even care so much if there was another venue. Like, let's say that Miami had their own stadium and then the Hard Rock was over there. Like, if it was in Miami, that doesn't bother me as much because that was just dumb luck that it fell upon that way. But, like, it's in your stadium and your facilities, basically. That's what I think is crazy.
well, and thing for Miami, it's really I think it's a 20-minute drive or 20 miles or something like that. I can't remember. I think it's more like towards 20 minutes to get to that facility for them. I'm like, how much more home advantage can you really get? I mean, it's already in the state of Florida, and they're already playing at their home facility regardless. But I mean, that's just absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, what more can you really ask for Miami?
Well, that's, like, huge in college football too, like, home field advantage is a big deal. As a
Oh,
Nebraska fan, I
100%.
can tell you, like, playing in Lincoln versus playing, an opposing team, it's a big deal, especially when you're talking about Miami. I mean, those fans are all gonna show up, they're all gonna be rowdy. It's a Monday night game, they're all gonna drink and get heavily intoxicated and be juiced for this game.
Well, and
Like,
my
jeez.
argument might be stupid because if it's in Miami, but not at their stadium, so, like, if Miami had their own stadium over on campus and then the Hard Rock, then, well, but Miami fans are still gonna be close, and so it's still gonna be a home environment, home city. Well, I don't know why, but in my brain, it just it triggers me a little bit. But,
Well,
I
it seems
I
like a very, very unfair advantage for a national championship.
well,
It is.
I do feel like if you saw how Indiana traveled, for sure in the Rose Bowl, they traveled really, really well, and it sounded like an Indiana home game, but you couldn't see it as much because it was red and red. But at the Peach Bowl, where it was Oregon, there was a little section where the Oregon student section and some fans were.
Yeah.
It was an Indiana home game. I'm talking
If you
like
wanna if you're an
Really
Indiana
was.
person, if you're a family in Indiana that's traveling to this game, it's gonna cost you 15 grand minimum to go to this game. The cheapest tickets are 3 grand.
do you think that
That's
Indiana fans
insane.
are gonna travel that well again? Like, do you like, I kind of wonder though, that even though it's in Miami, I still kinda feel like it might still be like a 50-50 split, and
I don't think so.
it wouldn't surprise me to see it lean towards Indiana because of the way that they've been supporting their team. I mean,
Yeah,
this is historical for them, for the
it
whole
is, but it's
state.
also you gotta think too, though, this is a Miami team that's hungry. This is a Miami team that's been there. They're similar to Nebraska. They had their moments, and then they've fallen flat. So this is a Miami team that's hungry to be back too and playing right there in Miami. Like, again, just imagine you're a fan of Indiana. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pack the kids and the wife up, and we're gonna fly out to Miami. It's gonna cost you a minimum of $15,000, like $3,000 a ticket. Plus, you got to get a place to stay. Those are gonna get jacked up. You got to get a vehicle. Like that adds up quick, man.
Yeah,
Like, and that's the cheapest tickets, 3 grand.
that's insane. But
Like in Miami, there's probably more money in Miami, in there than Bloomington. You'd have to
just
think.
Just
But
probably a
then
tad bit, but I mean, you gotta think, like, with some of these Indiana fans, I mean, I'm not trying to sound, like, Midwestern here, but I mean, I know for sure if I had an opportunity to go to Miami for a national championship game and get out of this crappy weather, I can tell you for sure I would go down to Miami just to get a little bit of sunshine to me. And probably same for the family. Like, I know I would sure heck like to go chill on a beach or just even go fishing or whatever the heck the case may be. But I know I would love to go down to Miami just to get away from the
It's
cold.
it's expensive, but it's expensive for anyone. Like,
That's
I
true.
know it's less expensive for Miami people because they already live there, but not all Miami fans that are at that game are gonna be, living in Miami. Like,
yeah,
there's
you're
probably gonna
right. It's
be
just I think to me it comes down to like, okay, maybe this is just me thinking, but I feel like the people that are Miami, going to be at the Miami games are probably going to have more money than the people going to Indiana games. And like, I think you could make a fair argument that says like Indiana's never been here before. There's way more hype for this team than there ever has been. I completely, totally get it. But this is also again, it's a Miami team that's been there, and they've been starving to finally get back to national relevancy
it's
again.
it's been since
I mean,
2003 since they've been there.
Like, yeah, you're
yeah,
talking about
Two
over 20 years, man. Like
Yeah,
those fans are gonna show up too. And yeah, I it doesn't sit right with me that it's a home field
yeah,
advantage and a
I
national
don't like
championship.
it.
I can't get past it.
No,
you need to
I don't
have that
like it
on
at
neutral
all.
site.
Yeah. Well, and, so did you guys see who the ESPN College Game Day guest is? The guest that they're gonna have
No.
on the show?
I did not.
It's gonna be Marcus Freeman. How funny
Are
is
you
that? So
serious?
so the guy who complained that his team got robbed is the guest for for the show that's covering the game of the team who took his place and is now playing for the national championship. I think that is like
That's
irony, and
hilarious.
somebody
Dude,
behind the
somebody's
scenes
throwing
is
shade.
like somebody behind the scenes that made this decision is like trolling him and he just doesn't know it or something. I think it's awesome.
I don't know how they can get him really to get on. I know if it was me and his shoes, be like, "Oh heck no, I ain't trying to deal with all this BS." I mean, that's to me, that's absolutely crazy. But 100%, I mean, they definitely are be trolling upon trolling him. That is crazy.
I think it's awesome.
That's wild. That's just
Well, I
like,
mean,
how do you not see that?
if you're
Nobody's
Marcus
reached out to Marcus to
Freeman,
be like, dude, do you see what they're doing here? Like,
if you're Marcus Freeman, are you doing that?
no, you couldn't pay me to do it. Marcus Freeman
That's what I'm saying. How do you pay
makes
the
all that
man to
money
do it?
anyway. You can't pay me to do that. No way.
Unless
Did you watch his
unless
interview with his team? Like his
yeah.
when they watched it on the big screen and they announced who the playoff teams were, and he's like, made the comments about like, normally I could point to reasons that this didn't happen, like what we did wrong, in order
Well,
to
and
make this
it does
happen, and I
suck
don't
from
have
Notre
anything for you
Dame's
guys.
perspective. Like, I hate
Yeah,
that for
it
Notre
really
Dame
does.
and for the team, and even for their fans, it's like, I get it, because I think the way that the committee did that was dirty. They should not have waited until a weekend when neither of those two teams played to finally make the decision to flip them. It should have been that way the whole time. And so that's why I
Yeah.
think Miami deserved in over Notre Dame. But if you're the committee, you said for I think 5 straight weeks or something like that that uh, Notre Dame is the better team, and so we're ranking them ahead of Miami, regardless of the head-to-head. And then all of a sudden, when it mattered the most, the only time it really mattered, you decided to put Miami in over Notre Dame.
So let's circle back around. What was the thing we just talked about right before this? Where's this located? In Miami.
Miami.
Was there some thought behind this? Like, hey man, we could have the first. We could have a team playing,
Well, it's all
since
about
playoffs.
money. I mean, honestly, you can't change my mind about that. The only reason why they're trying to expand it to 16 teams or 24 teams is because they want more money. Because the more
Well, so
playoff games, the more money. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's some sort of like twist to this that because if they do it in Miami and if Miami were to make it kind of thing, which I don't think I don't think, of course, like I think we talked about this before. I don't think the college football is rigged totally. Like to the point where like
just
they've
a smidge.
I don't yeah I mean
Just at least just a little bit.
there's
Gotta
definitely like
sprinkle that
super question.
smidge in it.
Why do we have rules like targeting that ejects a player be so vague and called so inconsistently, or even pass interference or holding, any of those? So there is some, I would say, rigged, but not necessarily like, hey, let's tweak it like this to make a team win. I don't think Miami's winning in the playoffs because it's rigged is what I mean. But if the possibility's there where Miami could make it, think of the storylines that we could go with.
Right.
And here's the other one too. Where's Fernando Mendoza from?
Correct.
Miami.
But it kind of
Yeah.
backfired on them a little bit too, because nobody's talking about the fact that it's Miami's home field advantage. They're talking about the fact that Indiana's playing.
It did kind
Like,
of backfire that
you know
part,
what I
but
mean?
I mean that's still a huge talking point. I mean, Indiana has literally caused us to talk so much about Indiana on this show, and it's a little bit more for us because like Britton and I, grew up cheering them on. But I just think it's I don't know this national championship is really fun. I think because Miami was almost counted out when they shouldn't have been. And then they make it all the way to the national championship. That's awesome, and they're an underdog, kind of a Cinderella story for them. Nobody was picking Indiana, uh, especially against Alabama. No, the
No,
sports books
not a
did,
chance.
but that was just because of analytics and stuff. When I mean, people weren't really picking Indiana, but then they blew Alabama out, and people were like, all right. We got about half of the people were like, all right, Indiana might beat Oregon. I'm going to pick Oregon or pick
They
Indiana. But
desecrated Oregon.
yeah, but not everybody picked Indiana over Oregon. Now it's like 78%. I'll look it up real quick again because I was just looking at this the other
Well, they're
day.
like a 7.5-point favorite over Miami.
Eight and a
In
half.
Miami. 8.5 now. Okay. Yeah, so I was listening to Sean Callahan today on 3. Sean, reach out to me, big fan. But he brought up something. They were kind of talking about the playoff expansion talk. That's the 16 teams or 24 teams or whatever. And there's a lot of question about like, okay, you're giving the playoff committee way too much power. But guess what? They've proven time and time again. Again, this year it happened just like last year. They picked a team that was controversial, Miami over Notre Dame. Guess what? Miami's playing for the national championship, so they knew something. I mean, there's something to be said about the playoff committee getting it right. I mean, as much crap as they get, the playoff committee has gotten it right more times than they've got it wrong. Like they
That is
picked
true.
Miami when a lot of other people thought Notre Dame should be in there. Guess what? Miami's made it all the way, and they're playing for the national
Well,
championship.
yeah. I mean,
Last year it was who was last year's team that was questionable? I can't remember anymore. There was some debate on whether
Ohio State. Ohio State made
whether
it
or
all
not
the way. I mean,
yeah.
they were debated upon because it was like, well, they didn't even make the Big Ten championship game. They lost
that's what it
to
was.
Michigan on a down year for Michigan. That was when Michigan won 6 games prior, so they were their 7th win. Like that
Yeah.
was
And
not a
again,
good.
the playoff committee got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they
So
and again,
gotta give
Ohio
props
State.
where it's due.
Ohio State was blowing people out the way that Indiana is this year too.
Yeah.
So I mean, because
So-
That is true.
they murdered Tennessee, they went on to murder Oregon, and is the committee getting it wrong on the top 4 seeds then? Because only 1 out of 8 has won.
Yeah, I don't think that really matters though. I mean, I think if you're it's the controversial things to me that everybody else outside was like, oh man, Ohio State shouldn't be in it. And the playoff committee saw something or knew something and it worked out. Somebody saw something and knew something. And so far, Miami's worked out. So to me, it's like, it's easy for the fans and for the outsiders to, be harsh and critical of the playoff committee, but we got to give props when it's due. I mean, they've gotten the last 2 controversial calls. They've gotten it right both times. They're 2 for 2 here. So hats off
Yeah.
to them.
Well, and there was controversy last year with trying to get Alabama, South Carolina, or Ole Miss in too, and then Alabama ended up losing to Michigan in the bowl game. And then I'm trying to think too, because I feel like I can't remember what happened with Ole Miss or no, it's South Carolina. Did I say South Carolina? It was South Carolina because I don't remember exactly what happened with those, but I just remember it being like, yeah, no, that those teams shouldn't have been in. But yeah, I think I like the matchup a lot, and I feel like every single game has been just like the matchups are what makes it really fun. The Oklahoma Alabama matchup, that was cool because you get the story of the rematch, and it was interesting there. I didn't like the rematch personally, obviously now that Oklahoma lost, but I didn't like the rematches so much. So like Ole Miss Tulane was a rematch, and Oklahoma and Alabama were a rematch. You could have probably shifted it around to not make rematches, but the story behind that one, the story behind Miami, Texas A&M against each other was a really cool one, where it was the 2 teams that beat Notre Dame who didn't get in, and then You get up to the Indiana-Oregon matchup, another rematch that had to have Oregon and Indiana win games to get to that rematch. And then uh, the Miami-Ohio State matchup was really fun. It comes down to where like every single matchup has been really fun to watch, and predicting every single one has been really difficult too.
Today's episode is brought to you by All Hockey Sticks. All Hockey Sticks is a hockey stick company built by a former player with one mission: deliver elite performance at an honest price. Designed for quick release and consistent feel, All Hockey Sticks gives players pro quality level without the inflated costs. Starting at $179 for seniors and $139 for juniors. All hockey, all the time. Make sure to go to allhockeysticks.com and use code RISING for 15% off. Again, that's code RISING, RISING, for 15% off. I mean, they got to write stories. The rankings and the way that they place everybody in order. I mean, it's for a reason. They've got stories already written before the games are played. So
I mean, even think about like for what Miami played against Ole Miss. I mean, everyone was so contradicting about the last play of the game. Obviously, when they threw the deep Hail Mary. Obviously, I know we briefly talked about it. I mean, going back to what you were talking about, Josh, for having those, I wouldn't say controversial calls, but I mean just those kind of game changing calls that could definitely go one way or the other. But I mean, uh, that was just absolutely crazy to me, and I know you and I were both talking about that. I think it was the day after that game,
Well,
but I mean,
the argument for that too is, well, they don't ever call pass interference on Hail Marys. I know they don't. But guess how you fix it? You start calling on Hail Marys because that's a rule. Why do we have a
I mean,
rule if it's just going to be subjective?
you need to get to the points where like you see offensive linemen holding
Yeah.
everyone each single play. Like you're gonna call it every single play, or you're just gonna let it go.
Well,
Like,
and
what are you
and
gonna
it's
do?
like, well, but holding happens every play. I know. Then call it every single play. I don't care. I
yeah, that's how
Literally,
have
you fix it.
yeah, like and you know what? Yeah, it sucks if it's happening a lot to you. That sucks. But how do you like? That's also how offensive
you fix
linemen
something.
stop holding. But why do they hold right now so much on every single play? Because they know they can get away with it. So why not?
I think the problem here is that college football has become they're really trying to put an effort into making it a quicker game. They're trying to make it faster, and they're trying to do all these things for the fan base and to make the game easier, to protect the players more, yada yada. They're changing the game so much with this that, again, they're not like that's clearly pass interference, right? At the very end of the game, 100%,
Yeah,
no questions asked. That gives them one more shot at the end zone. Who knows what happens? But we're just becoming this society where it's just like, well, let's, you know, we're not going to call every holding call because it's going to slow the game down, and the games are going to be 4.5 hours long if we call everything. It's like, don't have the rules then. Nobody's practicing, and the coach is like, hey, this I want you to on this play when we call this, I want you to make sure you hold him. Like, they're not trained and taught to hold. So when they do it, throw a flag.
Well,
I mean,
and then when they get penalized, guess what happens when they get to the sideline? Their ass gets chewed, and they don't make that mistake anymore. Like that's why people are like, well, if you call it every time it happens, then it's just going to be called at a ridiculous rate. No, it won't, because players will start to realize, okay, I'm not getting away with it anymore.
yeah.
It's kind of similar. So I do agree with so like I think it happens a lot, really, in any sport, where you are allowed to get a little bit extra physical in certain games. National championship, you're allowed to get a little bit more physical. We're going to allow you to get a little bit more chippy. Or in rivalry games, we're going to allow you to maybe give a couple shoves afterwards. But if it keeps on going on, then we're going to have to start to. But you can't allow it so much, um, where it starts to become, okay, well, I can get away with this. I can get away with this. When they take it over the top, then you throw the flag. You just have to like call it consistently. If you're going to call a penalty when they don't turn around when the ball is coming to the receiver and they put their hands up, if you're going to call it, if you're not going to call a penalty once, don't call it the next time.
right?
And
Consistency is what it all comes down to, right? I mean, it's consistency.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, if you want to call a game where they're hand fighting down the sideline when the ball's in the air, both players are doing it, and it's been going on all game, and you're letting it go, letting them play, I'm cool with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I don't want to see the next team go on offense and they do the exact same thing, and all of a sudden we're going to throw flags, and now it's a penalty. If it's a penalty at the very first snap, it needs to be a penalty at the very last snap. That's
Yeah,
it.
I
I
agree.
mean, and again, I think you can. I think coaches need to be met with the referees and say, hey, we're going to let this game. We're going to let you guys play. You know, and I've seen that in the NFL sometimes where the referees will come up and they'll tell guys like, we're going to let you guys play, but you know, keep it
You
clean.
got to keep it
That's
clean.
it. That's it. Like let them play. But again, and it makes you wonder too, like the holding calls. Okay, well, it happens on every snap. We're just going to call the really bad ones. It's like, well, who knows how many games come down to the last wire? Like, what's 5 yard penalty, 10 yard penalty, 15 yard penalties? What do those do to a game? I mean, you never know because they don't get called.
Well, and
Hmm.
I think when the game becomes to a magnitude of like especially of this one, the national championship too, you really have to be really zoned in, and you have to be strict, and you meet with both teams beforehand, and you say, listen, guys. We understand there's a lot of emotions, so we'll try to give as many warnings for anything extracurricular and all that stuff as much as possible. But you guys have to listen to the rule. You guys have to listen and follow the rules, and just know that we're going to be cracking down on them because it matters in this game more than anything.
That's one thing I hate to even say this, but I actually like about the NBA is like the you see like the players and referee, communication there where they'll explain the penalty. Sometimes you'll get a player that's like, "What did I do? Like I don't understand why that was a foul," and they'll explain it to them. And guess what? They don't typically do that again because they understand. Okay, well, and there's other games where it's not a foul because the referee's letting them be a little bit more chippy inside the paint or whatever. There's good communication there, and I wish we could translate that over to football a little bit more, where it's like, hey, he did that on the sideline earlier to our player, and that wasn't a penalty. Like, why is it a penalty now? Okay, well, you didn't turn around for the ball. Like, if you turn around, I'll let you guys whatever. That communication line needs to be open between referees and players. Again, hockey's a good example as well. The referees are very good at communicating with the players on how I'm
Hmm.
going to officiate the game, and it's not the same in football. It's it's just different, and I wish that we could translate that better to football, that open line of communication and the relationship between players and referees.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Jerry.
yeah, you definitely took the words right out of my mouth, Brendan. Like NHL, especially, it doesn't even matter if it's NHL. Like for college hockey, NCAA, ECHL, SPHHL, whatever the league is. I mean, the hockey league, just in general, like for officiating, that is to me the best officiating crew. Just because you said it the best, they can get and talk to the players. Like, I mean, unless if you're Brad Marchand, that's a completely different situation. But I mean, like just looking at what they're
He's a
officiating, they
rat.
can literally come. Yeah, exactly. He's a rat. But I mean, he can literally come over to the penalty box and you can literally be screaming at the ref saying, "What the heck did I do?" And then he could just literally come barking back right at you, and he can physically just tell you, "This is what you did, plain and simple. If you don't like it, then you can sit your 2 minutes, or you can go take it in the showers." But I mean, that's the crazy thing is like some of these other guys, they don't even take the time to understand what the heck they did wrong, and a lot of these guys need to really take into consideration that they need to just shut up and face the fact that you did the wrong thing, then now just learn from it and just become a better freaking player.
Well, I like that you're gonna get it wrong sometimes, but accountability. But I feel like we've
Yeah.
gotten down a rabbit hole of talking referees. So I'm kind of curious with Miami and Indiana. So I feel like like when I was first thinking about this game, I felt like, okay, well, Miami's been here before. So, but I mean, how long has it been since Miami has been here before? I was kind of thinking
22
of like
years.
yeah, I mean, well, it's really been a long time since they've truly been on the national stage. Like, they've
Yeah.
been talked about, but then they just fall off. Mario Cristobal finally got them to that, "All right, we're talking about him again," and now he's finally got them to the point now where they're in it again. So, like, at first I was thinking kind of like, well, it's an experienced program against a team who's recently dominant, I guess, but they're really kind of both recently dominant. Again, kinda makes it fun because at the beginning of the season there might have been some people saying that Miami makes the playoffs. How many people were saying Miami and Indiana were gonna be playing for the national championship?
Who said?
Not me.
Who said Indiana was gonna make the playoffs? Actually, I said that they might be able to make the playoffs this year, but that's a moot point. I mean, really, nobody was really putting them down in their brackets preseason, and that's what I think is really cool. But
Do you pronounce it moot or mute?
moot point, it's a moot point. That's different.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you've never heard that? Pretty sure.
No, I
I
mean,
might be wrong.
I would just say it's a mute point, meaning yeah,
Yeah, I mean
I
that
might
could
be
work
wrong
too, I
too.
guess. But now it's like past tense is like it doesn't even matter now. Like yeah. Anyways, so I know like we've talked a lot about Miami leading up to this point because their defense is really what leads Miami. But for Indiana, they have a strong defense too, and their defense is underrated, big time, underrated.
Definitely.
So their offense though has been scoring 47 points per game in the
Mm,
playoffs.
mm.
That's what I kind of look at. Like that's really crazy to see where you dominated Alabama by 35 points, turn around and was it 34 points against 34-point victory against Oregon.
Yeah.
So I mean it's been insane to watch them and how they have like totally dominated all the way through. Do we think that Miami is going to be able to slow them down on offense, or is it going to be another another blowout?
I honestly think it's going to be another blowout, but the one thing that I'm really more like looking forward to is this quarterback battle because I mean
That is fun.
we talked about both Carson Beck, I mean, and having his history from what he's capable of doing in the college playoffs. Then you got Heisman Mendoza. I mean, just coming out and having a hell of a season this year, especially. I mean, you just look at what Indiana has done. Just looking, I had to calculate this really quick between when they played Oregon, Alabama, and Ohio State. They've put up 95 points compared to allowing 35 points throughout those last 3 games. I mean, to me, that's absolutely crazy. But you look at this other side for what Miami brought up, obviously, being able to put up a good number that I'm calculating that as we speak. They were able to put up in the last 3 games we played A&M, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. They were able to put up 65 points, but on the other
Well,
end
and
for
well,
allowing points
how much in just the 2 games for Miami though against Ole Miss and Ohio State?
for just for the Ole Miss and for you said for Oregon and Alabama or Ole
Well,
Miss
no,
and Ohio
for
State?
Ole Miss and Ohio State against Miami. How
Okay.
many points did Miami put up?
That's what I was just about to get right now. Just for those 2 games, total, they put up 55 points.
Yeah, compared to Indiana's 94 against the 2 opponents that they faced.
Well, I had that for the last 3, but for the last 2 they had oh,
Well,
yeah, you're correct.
yeah,
I was
90
thinking
94
yeah.
points between the last 2 games. That's what's
I would
insane.
Yeah,
argue
yeah, yeah.
Ohio State's defense is much better than even
Much
Oregon's.
much better like putting up a 34-point difference or 35-point difference over Alabama or Oregon? I don't
I
I
would
mean, Ohio
I
State's
would think
better.
so.
Ohio State's better, but are they like a 34 points better?
I don't think so.
I think that's just Indiana
It's
finding
being dog.
finding a way to just find what works and whatever's not working, adjust. I don't know. I feel like I don't think that I will say I think Alabama and Oregon both either one of them are better than A&M. I would pick them over A&M, and Ohio State was definitely a tough matchup for no doubt. I would probably also pick
Yeah, they were
Alabama.
Ohio State was first nationally, giving up 9.3 points allowed per game.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna
Well,
say
they're
they
yeah they're
first
good, but
nationally, like that's gonna take some. We got to take some something off of that. I mean, they gave up 130 points in 14 games, including the bowl game.
sure. But is it so much better that it's 30-point different better? Or like what was it? So Indiana scored 94 and then it was like 50 something, so 40 points difference.
Well, I'm just saying, like if you're playing against a team, like Ohio State with the first nationally ranked defense in the country for points per game, when you're talking about playoff games, like two games, like that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, it is, but Miami also faced Ole Miss, who has a defense that lets up a lot of points. So they put up 31 points against Ole Miss, who is nowhere near uh anyone's anyone's defense really. I mean, Ole Miss's defense allows a lot of points. But
Yeah.
Ole Miss, that was Ole Miss's identity this year is we're going to outscore you and see if you can stop us.
Bend don't break defense.
And
Yeah, for
yeah, I mean
sure.
they have a solid defense, no doubt. They can stop you when they need to, but they're not going to hold you to, you know, low double digits or anything like that. They're not going to keep you under 20 points.
Yeah,
They're
I'd
going
just
to
be curious to see if it was reversed and Indiana played Ohio State and that like what's that number look like then? I mean, maybe
well,
they still put
and
up the points,
they
but
only put up 13 against Ohio State too. So you can make that argument because Miami ended up putting 11 points more than Indiana did, but they also allowed 4 more points. So I don't know. And it was a
it's a
different
moot
Ohio
point.
State team. It is, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. I just feel like Indiana's offense has been different in the playoffs than going back to regular season, and I don't know. They've been on a way more of a, they've spread the rock so much when you've got what was it, 6 different guys on offense scoring a touchdown in that game against Oregon, and then that's just insane.
When you can pass for like damn near 90% in the playoffs, like your offense is doing something right. Those
I mean,
those 3 stars out there smoking the 5-star corners and safeties. So what's happening?
well, and even looking like their running game situation for both Indiana and Miami. Like, if you're not capable of getting it through the air, which for both these teams, that's definitely crazy to think that they're not being able to get it through the air. Like, they can definitely rely on that run game too. I mean, Josh, you and I were talking about it the other night. I mean, just for Hemby with Indiana and overall having 1,060 yards, then looking at for Miami with Fletcher, these two cats literally only separate by 20 yards. Fletcher has 1,080 and Hemby has 1,060. I mean, and on Hemby's side, Josh, you can chime in on this. He's he's also another guy that is who was the guy that we were talking about that also does take the
Kalen
big time
Black.
grunt work. Yeah,
Kalen
Kalen
Black,
Black. There we go.
that's really their key back, and but it's just I mean Hemby gets they split the load really well,
Who
but I feel
has
like
Yeah.
who has 2 running backs that have over 1,000 yards this year? I'd be curious. Like, I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm asking. Like, there can't be.
does Indiana's do they both have over 1,000 yards? They're
Uh,
close.
Let me take a look at that.
Kalen Black's at 961 yards.
That's damn near
They're
a
they're
1,000-yard back right
Damn
there.
near
they're
1,000.
they're yeah
He'll
they're
be that after
both
this game.
okay. So let's include Martin in their 3 backs because he has 78 carries. That's a decent load for a season. They're all averaging Roman Hemby 5 yards per carry, Kalen Black 5.7 yards per carry, and then Martin 6.5 yards per carry. That's
Workhorse.
scary.
I'm telling you, there's not another team in the country that has a better running backfield.
Well, and should we count blue chip players? How many does Indiana
Jeez.
have compared? They have
Yeah.
8, and Miami has probably high double digits, 30s or something like that. I don't know.
I would say at least 20.
That's what's so crazy about it, and it's all how Kurt Cignetti picks his players. He picks guys that if you don't have play time that he's been able to see you on the field, significant play time and proven something, he's not going to take you. You know, and if you have like a high upside and like, oh, you know, like, we haven't seen him on the field, but we know that he's capable of. He doesn't care. It's
Well, and I
get him
think
out
the
of here.
narrative I think the narrative out there is like, oh man, Indiana's doing all this with players that are just average. That's not the case. Kirk Cignetti's gone out and found dudes.
Well,
Like,
and
look at the receiving core. Those guys would start at Ohio State. The running backs would start at any other school. Like, these are legit players that were underestimated their entire life. Like,
Yeah.
he's got real talent there on that roster. The stars don't always matter. I mean, they just don't. Like, this is proof. Indiana does not have a team of just like average mediocre guys that happen to work really good together and they've got a really good scheme and oh man, they're just coached so well. It's like, no, they're coached well and they also have a bunch of guys that are great players.
here's
Like
how
guys that will
much
play in the NFL.
here's how much their wide receivers, or just their receiving corps as a whole, has been split out too. So they've got Omar Cooper leads with 64 receptions, 866 yards. Elijah Surratt, who was actually out for like 2 or 3 games this season with an injury, 62 receptions, 802 yards. Charlie Becker, 30 receptions, 614 yards. And then
Jesus.
EJ Williams Jr., 36 receptions for 438 yards. And then even throwing in their really kind of like he's their tight end, but I mean, he's kind of backed
Seems
up
like a power back.
to Charlie Becker, kind of, because I mean, Charlie Becker's built like a tight end, but he's got 30 receptions for 370 yards. You've got that many guys. That's how much they spread the ball around. It's a bunch of dudes putting their part in. That's I don't know. It's a scary Indiana team.
Well, and typically, like, what's a defense do when you have, every player that's, when you're in the national championship, you got that one guy that you're going to lock down, right? All right, guys, we have number 8. He's our guy we're going to focus on this week. We're going to lock him down. We're going to put a high safety over the top of him and cover him. Like, how do you do that against Indiana? Because if you double one guy, you got
They're going to
5,
throw
6
straight
other
to the other.
guys. Correct. Like, this is such a deep team offensively. Like, you can't scheme like you would against other teams. Like, you just can't, because they have so many guys that they can throw the ball to. And then, by the way, they've got Hemby and Black. I'm not going to do the Herb Street mistake there. But it's like you have so many guys that are capable of doing it. You can't double anybody. And if you do, we'll make you pay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just okay. We've talked a lot about Indiana, but does anyone like do either of you guys are either of you guys picking Miami to win the game?
No, not making that mistake
Nah.
again.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people are kind of on that road where now all of a sudden everyone's realizing, okay, it's literally taken the last game of the season so I looked it up earlier. I don't know if I said this, 78% of the money on the spread has been going towards Indiana.
And the 22% are the Miami fans.
That's what's crazy. I mean, it's the nation has finally come
Open their
to and
eyes.
been like, oh, hey, Indiana really is good. And it's still hard to sit here and look at the IU logo. I get that, but there does have to come a time when you realize, like, I was opened when I was like, okay, they just beat Ohio State. They're good. I'm not picking against them anymore.
I
And
think it's funny. We had a clip of like something we were talking about Indiana, and I brought up like the Cinderella story with basketball, and I was literally making the point that this is not a Cinderella story program. Like, this isn't that. And somebody commented on there. By the way, I'll call you out next time. Somebody commented out, and they're like, "Quit saying it's a Cinderella story. It's not a Cinderella story." But I'm like, that's what was my point, was that it was not a Cinderella story.
well, and I think at some point too, in that when it was whatever we were previewing, I said something about it's kind of like a Cinderella story for everyone in the field remaining, because it was like Miami, Ole Miss, Indiana. For all 3 of those teams, no one was really predicting them. Now they're not Cinderellas because they're all also really good teams and they deserve to be here at this point. But yeah, it is. I don't know. It's really tough for me. I do think, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. I do think that Miami is finally the team to slow Indiana down here in the playoffs. And it's going to be that home field environment, all that. I think that plays into it. But I have a really hard time picking against Indiana. First ever national championship.
Yeah. How do you slow down Indiana though? But I mean, you bring up a good point. I didn't think they'd score like they did against Oregon, so I don't know. I mean, everything I thought I knew about Indiana, I didn't know anything. I mean, they continue to
I
surprise me every single freaking week, man. Every week I'm surprised.
I've picked them. So I didn't pick them against Ohio State. Remember whenever Jeremy and I did that, Jeremy picked them. I was like, I want to, but I'm going to try to be smart about
You
this
were
and just
on the
pick
fence
Ohio
about
State.
it.
And it was
Yeah.
it was a tight game. It would have it happened the way I would have expected it to happen if Indiana won. Against Alabama, I was like, all right, I'm picking Indiana, and I flipped my pick on that one too. I was like, yeah, you know what? I was going to go Alabama, but no, I'm picking Indiana. I'm stopping this train of thought where I'm not going to pick out Indiana. Didn't pick them to win by
Tom, you
35
listen to me.
points. I thought they would win by like 4 points. Same with Oregon. I was like, I'm flipping it. I'm okay. I keep on thinking I'm going to pick against Indiana, but I can't bring myself to do it. They're going to win by 6 points or whatever I said it was, and then they blow them out. Like I'm not expecting this out of Indiana.
Well, like the thing is, so I go back to what you just mentioned. Like, okay, is this a team that finally slows them down? And like my brain automatically goes to yes, this is the best defense that they've played so far. Like that Miami defense is nuts. But then the other flip side of that is like, okay, well, guess what? Indiana's defense is legit too. Like that's a lot of guys that are just running to the ball with bad intentions.
And they're
Like,
deep.
and they're deep. So it's like, okay, like that's in my brain. It's like, okay, what does Miami have to do to win this game? You know, that defensive line and the defensive pressure, that's what's going to win the game for them if they win. But again, I go straight back to, okay, well, Indiana can do the same darn thing. Like Indiana's deep and they're talented, they're good, they're physical. Like this might be the most physical defense that Miami's played. I mean, that defense just continues to get better and better every single week too. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Oregon cost themselves a game at the very beginning. Like they made a lot of big mistakes, but
Yeah, they
but
really did.
Indiana blows them out regardless because Indiana just continued to put pressure in the backfield on defense. They continue to take the ball away when they had opportunities, and they also could have taken the ball away a few other times and didn't capitalize on it, and still managed to blow them out.
Well, the
Like
pick six was a bad read by Dante Moore, but it was also a really good read to jump the route by the DB.
for
So
sure.
that one I don't think would categorize as a random stat. The one fumble for sure does. The strip sack I can see going either way because it was
Yeah,
just
that's
kind of
a
being
50-50
careless with
coin
it.
flip.
Yeah, but why are you careless? Because you're in your head because that defense
Yeah,
is all over you. Like
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
on Indiana. Like Indiana caused that that was Dante Moore's worst game of his career, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd
And
pick
I mean, I don't know how
Yeah,
you
it
could argue
wasn't
that it
good.
wasn't. It was
It wasn't
horrible,
good.
but it wasn't horrible
three
because he's a bad
turnovers.
quarterback. It was horrible because that defense made him think
He gave them
in a way that
21
he's never
points.
thought. Right.
I mean, alone he gave them 21 points.
Yeah. Well, and even Josh and Britt, I want to pick your guys, man. Like, I fully 100% agree. Like, Miami will be the best team that can slow down Indiana's offense or defense, excuse me. But think about what they got on the other side for the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, we see what Carson Beck can do in a 2-minute drill. Like, I completely understand. Ole Miss is a completely different team, but we talked about them as well and having a really, really sturdy defense. I mean, Carson Beck obviously goes in for the game winning touchdown, uses his own legs. Like, can you if it came down to that situation, do you think Carson Beck could do that same kind of caliber against Indiana? Or do you think Indiana's defense is just too strong and that they're gonna be on them like stink on you know what?
I know Carson Beck makes those mistakes even in this game, just because
Yeah,
Carson Beck's been in college football
in the
for
league for
42
so
years
long.
now. And yeah, he's just so experienced. And like, man, that run, like, I went back and like watched it again, and you see a defensive lineman on the ground for Ole Miss, and just like refuses to get up, like just basically gave up on the play. Like,
Ole Miss
Yeah.
didn't
what was
seem
that
like
all
they were
about?
awake on that play. That's where I don't
No,
think Indiana makes that mistake. It's like Indiana's going to have a guy spying Carson Beck because they're. I mean, the coaching staff is extremely smart, and then of course, like we've talked about this before too, the way that they coach is you're going to be the smartest group of players to touch this field, and the physical part will come by
over
itself.
over or under on good 25 yards rushing for Carson Beck. You take the over or under?
I would take under.
Yeah, I got the under.
I don't
I'll
know.
take the
Is
over
there
on
a?
It'd
that because I think
be
they'll have to rely on his
close,
legs some.
but
Yeah, I'll
I
take
mean,
the over on that
yeah, he doesn't
just because I
typically
think they're
use
going to
his
have to
legs a lot.
rely on it. He doesn't, but I think this is a game he's going to have to.
Yeah, I was kind of
that
wondering
that'd
too.
be that'd
I
be
don't
pretty
see any kind
close.
of
I
I don't
mean,
see any kind of bets for that. Um,
I don't know. It was just off the top of my head.
they typically don't do any like what's that called, like the prop bets on
prop
college
bets.
sports, but
I saw where
um,
they're trying to outlaw all of that.
they should. But
I
we
Yeah,
think
can
they
they
talk
really
about
should.
that
should.
another time. Otherwise, we'll
Yeah.
get down another rabbit hole. So we talked a little bit before with Indiana specifically about history repeating itself. Think about this past season and what Indiana's done. And side note too, this is just my brain. Um, Indiana to start the season too, they barely won by 7 points against Old Dominion. That's what's so cool. Anyways,
Dude, Old
so
Dominion should have been in the playoffs.
yeah, but so Indiana went on the road to Oregon. Everyone doubted them there. Nobody thought they were going to win. And I mean, literally nobody. I don't think I saw really anybody picking Indiana for that one. And I didn't
Yeah.
either. I mean, I had hope. I was hopeful for them, but I didn't think they would win. They go on the road, win that one. They go on the road to Penn State, win that one. They go on the road to Iowa, win that one, and some tough fashions too against really all three of those teams. It was tough wins, gritty wins. They go on the road to Miami. Does history repeat itself?
To be determined.
It's going to be fun.
It is just hard for me
It's
because
gonna happen.
yeah, like my brain before any of this, you tell me at the beginning of the year, like Indiana makes it this far and they're playing Miami in the national championship. Like I would probably just tell you, like, yeah, Miami. If Miami's making it to the national championship, like they will beat Indiana. But you, nothing tells you that they will. I mean, Indiana has dominated the playoffs so far. Like dominated the playoffs. It's not been close.
Do we want to do a score prediction or do we want to just pick who covers the spread?
Let's say score prediction.
Score prediction? Okay, Jeremy, you start us off then.
All right. Looking at the over under, I mean, it's currently at 47.5. I'm going. I'm going.
He said score prediction, then he's like, I don't know. Let's just pick the spread.
Yeah.
I'm going 48-28.
Ooh,
Whoa.
wow.
I
He's
think they
going-
can have another blowout.
He's going high.
I think they can have another blowout.
Yeah, I was gonna go 69 to no.
Whoa, you think it's
I
going to be
don't
that
know.
low scoring? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I would go again. I have to pick Indiana just because. I mean, they look like the better team right now. I'll go Indiana 24-17.
I mean, yeah, we've already said it. Indiana. I'll say Indiana 27, Miami. I don't know, 27. What's a good score in there? 27-18, something like that. I mean, I don't think they're going to score a lot. I do think that Miami will be able to slow Indiana down some. They are dominant in the trenches, and they're going to be the toughest overall offensive and defensive lines that Indiana has faced all year. And Miami outsizes them by a ton. So
Give a bold prediction. A bold prediction, Jeremy. Your bold prediction looks like it's a blowout.
yeah, you bold predict. That's a really good bold
It's a
prediction.
very big bold prediction there.
What's your bold
Yeah.
prediction, Britt?
My bold prediction will go opposite of what I think will happen, obviously, because that's why it's a bold prediction. Miami wins this one by double digits. Something happens.
It has to be a bold prediction that you believe in, though.
I do see a scenario in which
Okay,
Indiana,
so like,
you have teams that don't show up for these kinds of games.
so you don't think
You
it's
know,
going to
that's true.
happen, but you could see a scenario.
Yeah, I see a scenario in which Miami, wins by 10, 12 points.
Well, and I feel like we've had scenarios in the past too, where it's like a team that's like the underdog shows up to the national championship, and everybody's like, "Oh, what are they going to do?" TCU, they get to the national championship. They beat was it Michigan, right, to get there?
Michigan.
And so they get there to the national championship and just completely crap the bed. And Georgia blows them out 63 to whatever it was, something like that. Yeah. I'll say Indiana has to come from behind in the fourth quarter to win this game. That's my bold prediction. And I could see that happening for sure.
Either
I
way,
like
it's
it.
gonna be a hell of a game.
I'm really
this-
excited about this. I mean,
Is this
it's
the most tuned in game for a national championship in a while?
man, it's got
It
to
has to be.
It's got to be, right?
I mean, the nation loves Indiana right now. They've finally gotten on that train. They either love them or there's other people who are kind of the opposite, where they totally hate him and they really want to see Kurt Signetti lose. And so they keep on tuning in like, oh, he's going to get it handed to him this time. So you do have kind of a split of two people.
I mean,
here in this.
I can recall several national championships in the past that I didn't. I mean, I watched because I'm a football fan, but I didn't care about. Like this is one that this is must see TV for sure.
I always
Yeah.
watch them, but I'm not usually tuned in to them. You know, it's like it's on the TV and I'm watching, and it's like, oh, cool, this is fun. I'm watching a game. But this one, I'm invested because, like I am an Indiana fan to some extent. You know, like I like watching Indiana, and I have been cheering for them. So yeah, I'm rooting for them. But I would be happy for Mario Cristobal to win one too. He's a great guy. So I would be happy for him to win one. But Kurt Signetti is just so fun. I personally like him and his philosophy. He does little trolls too that I don't think a lot of people pick up on. There was one where they listen to him in any pre-game, during game, post-game interviews. He'll throw in a little troll there to the interviewer. They'll be asking him about what he's going to do in the game, and he'll give them like 5 back-to-back like coach talk points, like, oh, we got to execute on defense, gotta like he'll just like list them off, and it's hilarious. Or my favorite quote, what like something about the next game. He says, I'm not thinking
I'm
about the
not
next game, all I'm thinking about is
Yeah.
cracking open a cold
thinking
beer.
about a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one
So
too.
I that's the part I'm most excited about, is to watch Curt Cignetti after winning the national championship. What's he gonna say? What's he gonna do? It's gonna be a great one.
He's not gonna crap load on beer. He's gonna crap load on a whole case of beer.
He's just gonna be shotgunning beers
Just
on the
Stone
stage.
Cold Steve Austin just with a beer.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all we got. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow everything that we do over at rising2.com. You can follow us on social media, find us over there. We appreciate everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.